Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Halifax Raiders Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 24. So I am recording this episode the day you guys actually saw the last episode, but there is some comments in, so I did wait a little bit of time at least before recording because obviously I am very excited just to see what ends up happening this season. We had a very solid draft and drafted some more good prospects in, and our team is starting to develop to the stage where we should be a contender for a Stanley Cup. As you can see, this is our roster going into the season. Probably one of the best looking rosters we've ever had on paper. And like the depth in terms of like down the middle looking pretty solid. Down the wings really good too. And in our defensive core, definitely still a little bit of a question mark, but I think it should simulate well enough considering we got some good DFTs in there to help with the defensive play a bit. And we also have the good goaltending with Sonnenberg, who's up to an 84 now. So I think this should be an interesting season. I think we should be able to even hit 50 wins this year, but I'm obviously hoping for more of a good playoff run instead of a good regular season. Like, I obviously just want to make the playoffs, but I don't want to be having a record where we win the President's Trophy, because all the time when I win President's Trophies, I don't usually win Stanley Cups in them. So I'm hoping more for the logic that we make the playoffs in a sense, and we maybe finish with 45 wins, but then we win a Stanley Cup on top of that. So hoping for a good year from all these guys. Obviously, with Wilm's contract ending at the end of next season, it is definitely the time that we want to win at least maybe one Stanley Cup or go on one run, because he's going to be costing a ton of money, and that's going to be sacrificing a lot of this depth on the team down the road. So we definitely want to win while we have this type of roster on contract. But anyways, let's get into some comments before we get into the season sim and see what you guys have to say. So the first one is from Yo-Yo What's Up, who says, great draft, glad we took the reach in the first round. For right now, here are my team grades. I would give offense A-, defense C+, goaltending B-, coaching A+. Only reason why is because of Joe Pavelski. Team record for the season, 46, 29, and 7. Might be a reach, but that's what this team does, is reach. Also predicting a Maple Leafs rematch in the first round. So yeah, hopefully if we do make the playoffs and we do play Toronto this time around, we could get the best of them, because obviously with them still having like Matthews, Marner, Nylander, they're going to be a tall order for us to beat regardless, even if we have a good roster. And then he was also mentioning our team grades. What's interesting is I was actually looking at our team grades, I think it was a couple episodes ago, on like the draft board screen, and it turns out we actually have pretty good ratings across the board. As you can see, A- on offense. Basically, our only weakness is really depth forwards at the moment in top prospects. From a defensive standpoint, we're actually rated an A+, which is kind of a surprise. I don't really know what the reasoning is, but we have strengths in every single category. And from a goalie perspective, it's at a D at the moment, so that's not ideal. So hopefully that goaltending could improve a bit. We do have a lot of goalie prospects, so it should improve down the road, but definitely that is our weak point on the team at the moment. Next comment is from Sano Otaku, who says, I'd say give Hartman a year to develop in the United States, then bring him to his ELC. At that point, he'll likely be good enough for a first-line player in the AHL, which should accelerate his development, making him NHL ready by year 3. Paco will need a couple of years of seasoning before signing. Then, in theory, he should follow the same path as Hartman, a year, maybe 2, as a top 2 AHL demon, then ready for the big club. I almost like Bursch a bit more since he can play both sides and will likely produce more offensively than Paco. In any case, solid draft. For your record next season, I predict 45, 28, and 9. So pretty similar record to what Yo-Yo What's Up was saying. And I do agree with Hartman, giving him a year to develop, at least in the United States, and then he could come into maybe a more of a stacked AHL team and help produce with that roster. But yeah, basically we drafted Hartman with our first round pick. You could see he's a 70 at 18. We also have like Addison for centers, so we definitely are building up a good center foundation for prospects for the future, which is good. So hopefully a lot of these guys can come in the road, down the road, and do really well. Sergeyev, for example, is up to a 72. Hamalainen's a 61, so we definitely have some very solid offensive depth. It's about more probably our defensive core still at the moment in terms of addressing that down the road. The next comment is from Ian.NoLove, who says, great job this offseason. Draft went pretty nice, except last round miss, but whatever, new coaches are big time steals. Team looks hungry for wins. Your A- Russian assistant can suggest these adjustments. All draft picks unsigned for 1 year except Hartman. Medium backup to the AHL next year. Fingers crossed for his development. So yeah, he's basically saying with Hartman to probably sign him right away. I'm probably going to leave him unsigned for a year, and he's saying to sign our backup right away. I'll get to that in a little bit if we're actually going to do that or not. He also says power play 1, Ahinen, Lehman, and Wilm, Kolsnik, and Del Rovere. Power play 2, Stajan, Pirozabal, Sherov, Boys, and Weber. And then basically a 4-man power play, Wilm, Lehman, Kolsnik, Boys. Penalty kill 1 is perfect as is. Penalty kill 2/3, try to find chemistry boost with Elastic and Pirozabal. 3-man PK, Wilm, Sea-Doo, and Kolsnik. Overall, love both teams. I think they're stacked for the development, AHL, and conference finals of playoffs. Again, thank you so much for this Snipe for this exciting series. Love, I appreciate that, Ian. And yeah, with the goaltender, I think we'll definitely leave him for 1 year as an unsigned guy, just because we have goalies already in the system that are playing in the AHL. So 1 year unsigned, hopefully he jumps to like a 75, 76. And then maybe he could even jump to being an NHL backup right away. But there is the other guys in front of him, technically, like not Sonnenberg, Norinen, and like also even like Solis and Gove. So leaving Harrison unsigned for a few years might be a better plan than just 1 year. But obviously, I'd like to get him to the NHL at some point, because maybe he's going to be a cheesy goalie for us. But maybe he'll end up just being more of an AHL goalie like Friesen was before we let him go. And then also we need to get to editing those lines, so let's actually go ahead and do that before we forget, and then we'll get into our last comment after that. Or actually, I'll get into that comment right now because it's a short comment from Michael Toast, who says, I'd play Israel in the AHL a year. So in a year he'd play Israel in the AHL. So yeah, basically that's what we will do. Let's get into editing these lines on the power play based on what Ian was saying. And on the penalty kills, so he was saying Ahinen is the delivery guy, Lehman in goalie zone, as he's a big he has big tipper. Oh yeah, that's true. And then Wilm finishing on the point. So we got to put Wilm on the point with Kolsnik, and then Del Rovere, I guess, would be on this spot. So yeah, let's put Kolsnik on the first power play. I'm kind of surprised that he wants to put Kolsnik on there since he's a DFD, but we will do what he's saying for a year and see how it actually produces. It's going to be a little bit weird with Sherov not be on the first power play unit, but I get it. It kind of makes sense to have him on the second unit. And he's a Del Rovere there, because Del Rovere has developed into being really good. So this is basically what he's saying for our top unit. We'll probably put... Actually, yeah, we'll put Lehman on the right side because he's a left-handed shot. Del Rovere is a left-handed shot on the left side still because he's a right winger, which is a little bit weird, but we'll do something like that. Let me just make sure everything's showing right. Yeah, okay, everything's good. Let's go to power play line 2. So he's saying on this one to have Stajan. Then you also have, who else? Pirozabal. Pirozabal is already on there. Okay, good. And then Sherov. So we'll take Del Rovere off this unit. We'll throw Sherov onto this one. And then he's also saying Boys and Weber. Okay. Stajan on the point, which is interesting. So we'll get Sherov down the middle. Actually, maybe Pirozabal down the middle would be better. And then we'll put Stajan at the point with Boys. And then, yeah, Weber will go into this spot. There's a lot of playmakers on this unit, so I don't know how we'll do, because we literally have like 3 playmakers, but we could see how it works. And now that that is set up, we will also go here and adjust who's the distributor and all that. So he was saying Ahinen as the distributor on the first unit, and then finisher is Wilm. I can change the power play formation if I want to. That way we get Lehman more in front of the net. I'm trying to see what these are, like normal, aggressive, defensive. I don't normally fiddle around with this thing, so I'm a little bit skeptical about using this feature, but because I feel like it'll make the game crash or something. Face-off formation. We'll go aggressive, I guess, because Lehman's more in the middle of the ice at that point. So we'll go aggressive on that. And then finisher will be Wilm. Puck carrier. He doesn't really list a puck carrier, but we will give that to, I guess, Lehman. Actually, maybe not Lehman. Let's go with it to Kolsnik, since he's a defenseman. He'll help break it out a little bit. And then on the second one, he was saying Stajan as the finisher, and who was the setup guy? Sherov, of course. The Sheriff. Do something like that, and Boys will be the puck carrier on this unit. So there's that, and then he was saying for our 4-man power play to run Wilm, Lehman, Kolsnick, and Boys. So we will do Wilm, Lehman, Kolsnick, and Boys. So got to get Kolsnick on this part. We'll put Boys at the point portion because he's a good shooter. So we'll do that. And then on the 4-man one, number 2, I guess it will have to do. He didn't list one for 4-man number 2. We'll do Ahinen, Del Rovere. What else do we want to do here? Let's get Mayer sometime and Sea-Doo. Why not? That way we at least still have 2 defensemen on both these units. Oh, -5? Jeez. Man, maybe not Sea-Doo then. Let's give Rizzy some time. I don't really know. Still -5. Maybe we'll go with a forward there instead then. Let's go with the Sheriff. I don't really know. God damn. The chemistry on this team is kind of weird at times. -3. If I take Mayer off this unit and put Stajan instead, will that help? Okay, it does a little bit. Okay, so we'll do something like that, I guess, for the one. It's all forwards, but we'll try it. We'll try it. And then penalty kill-wise, let's go ahead and address this. So, perfect as is for the first one. Try and find some chemistry with Elastic and Pearls of Bottle on the other units. Let's take Lehman off this unit. I'll kill Wilm on the penalty kill because I want him in all situations. Let's get Elastic on there. That works. And then Pearls of Bottle, let's see if we can get some chemistry with him. Let's get Petterman on the penalty kill. Why not? He's not getting power play time. That only makes it a -1. Is there anybody else that would work better on this unit? I feel like we got to give Petterman more ice time, so I'm going to just keep Petterman on the penalty kill. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. And then for this one, Wilm is going to be on this one. Stajan will go to the second unit. Just because we want Wilm to be on the ice as much as possible with his goal-scoring ability. So we'll do Stajan here. And then we will do Del Rovere on the last one instead. And it will start actually simulating this season, I think. Yep, there you go. I don't really know if the chemistry is good still on our special teams, but it is what it is. We'll see how this team ends up doing in this 2032-33 season, because we're pretty much almost 10 years into this at this point, which is kind of nuts. So we'll see how this team does. Hopefully we can make it back to the playoffs again. We should be able to, unless our goaltending is completely unreliable. But yeah, very excited to see what ends up happening. I also do want to actually take a look before we start the season. Is there any big contract extensions I should be giving out now? I know Pierre Zabal is up for renewal, but I want to probably qualify him for a few years before we give him a big contract because of the fact we will ends in a few years. And then, yeah, these other guys as well, I'll probably wait on. Petterman is a pending UFA, so that's a bit concerning, but I'm okay with holding on to him for a little bit like that. And yeah, I think everything else is fine. Perfect. We are good to go. Let's see how good this team does this year. Like I said, we should be a playoff team, but we don't want to necessarily win a President's Trophy because I feel like we'll just get knocked out way too quick. But we definitely should be a playoff team, especially with that offensive core. We've built a really good foundation around Wilm. 7-1 in the preseason, which is great, but obviously we want that to continue in the regular season, as Mauricio Wilm, of course, leading us in points as he normally does. 9 goals and 12 points in 8 preseason games. Okay. So we're to start the season on home ice against Arizona. And of course, I'm wearing my Arizona Coyotes shirt today. I'm recording this, so that is not ideal. Not ideal. Watch, we're going to end up losing just because I'm wearing a Coyote shirt. Let's go to January the 1st and see how we do in the first half of the year. And we start off with a win, but then we lost right after that. Kind of a bit back and forth here early on, but okay. That's, 2-5. Okay, there's now some more wins. There we go. Back to 500 again. It always seems like you start off like seasons either really good and then you fall off, or you start off really terribly and then you get back to being good again. Like now we're 9-6-1, but we started literally like 3-5, was it? That's kind of weird. I don't really like how we're simulating at this point, like too much, but we could definitely have a really strong second half. Wow, the sim engine's going by really quickly here. We're at 15 wins already on the season, which is pretty good. Just got to make sure to not have too many bad defensive games consecutively. Yeah, we're almost at 20 wins already. Let's go, boys. Let's go. There we go. Last 2 games before we take a look and see where we're sitting. 23-12-3. We are the top team in the Atlantic Division. The Maple Leafs have fallen to a wild card spot. They're only 9 points back of us, though. Interesting. There's 3 teams below. Actually, every team in our division has played less games than us at this point, so that's not ideal. The Leafs have only played 1 less game. The Habs have played 3 less games. The Sabres have played 2 less games, same as the Sens. So there's teams that could technically pass us in our division, so we definitely want to have a strong second half if possible. Let's go to the end of this month and see if we could have a strong month and get to like 30 wins before February, which we should be able to do. I would at least hope so. There's 4 straight wins, or more than that actually, since last month. There's another win. Okay, yeah, this team is looking good. This team's looking good. We started the season off slow, but we are off to a really good start in this first half of the year. We are 33-14-4 now. We are still top of our division by 10 points. And we've played right around the same amount of games as everybody else. So there's a chance we could win the Atlantic Division this year, which would be pretty dope considering we're the most Atlantic team out there, considering we're the very closest to the Atlantic Ocean, I guess, geographically speaking. But 70 points right now has us as the top team in the NHL, which I don't know if I like. We are playing a tough Carolina team next, but I don't know if I want that President's Trophy, guys. I really don't. I have seen a lot of AI teams win the President's Trophies and win the Cup in this, but for me personally, usually when I win the President's Trophy, it does not equate to good playoff results, so I don't know if I'm liking the way that we're selling this good, but we'll see how we do in this month of February. See if we're actually still leading the league in points. We beat Carolina. That's a tough team. Interesting, okay. But then we lost to some worser teams. I know worser is not a word, but oh well. A little bit of a losing streak there, so that's good, at least for us, not in terms of winning the President's Trophy. But we are almost close to eclipsing 40 wins already. We're 38-19-5. 81 points, and we are currently 3rd best in the league now. Carolina has passed us in the Eastern Conference, and the Vancouver Canucks leading the NHL. But we are still in that territory where we could win the President's Trophy if we have a really good streak all of a sudden. So a little bit scared about that, but it is what it is. Let's see, trade deadline game. Do we beat Chicago? I didn't want to enter trade deadline. Damn, game has a little bit of a lag to it. What the hell is Arizona doing? That franchise guy that went 1st overall a few years ago, he's 26 years old. He is on the trading block with 1 year left. I guess they don't think they could sign him. Damn, man. If this wasn't a draftable rate, I would definitely be trading for him, but not the case. That's interesting, though. Wonder if he's going to get dealt. Carolina's acquired some Christian Cairo for a couple of guys. Doesn't seem like he got dealt. We did beat Chicago 8-2. Jeez. Okay, it seems like Morozov didn't get dealt, though, because we would have gotten notified likely about that. But we are very close to being a President's Trophy team. Oh, my. I don't know if I want that, but if we win a President's Trophy, it'd be nice to have that hardware, but we want that Stanley Cup in our trophy case, right? We don't want President's Trophies. But let's see how we do up to the 24th. Man, yeah, we're definitely having our best season probably yet at this rate. We are on a little bit of a losing streak again. It is good that we're having those losing streaks still, because it means that we probably won't win the President's Trophy, but 44-23-5. We probably could hit 50 wins this season easily at this rate. We got to win 6 games of our final 10. It's doable. It's definitely doable. Let's go to the 31st. 4 games in a row. Well, not in a row, but there's a win, there's a loss, and a win. So we're at 46 wins now. We have 6 games left and only need 4 wins out of these 6 games to get 50 wins for the first time in franchise history. A lot of you guys were saying we would finish with 46, 47 wins. There's a good chance we actually eclipse that, which is pretty cool. So let's do our 3 games here. Detroit, Chicago, and Pittsburgh. Some good teams from the past. There's a win, there's a loss, and another loss. We got to win our final 3 games if we want to hit 50 wins. But right now we are pretty much on par to do what you guys were predicting. So 99 points. We have been passed by the Toronto Maple Leafs, who shot up out of nowhere. So we might have to play Matthews again in the playoffs at some point. 99 points has us like top 5. So we have fallen off. We probably won't win the President's Trophy, which is good. But at the same time, who knows, maybe winning the President's Trophy is actually good in this game. Can we hit 50 wins? No, we cannot, because we lose every game in our final 5 games of the season. So 47, 29, and 6. What were you guys predicting again? Yo, what's up said 46, 29, and 7. Saturn Otaku said 45, 28, and 9. So you guys were definitely close. And we didn't hit 50 wins, but that is okay with me. Finishing with exactly 100 points is perfect. And the fact that we weren't like the best team in the league maybe gives us a better shot at winning in the postseason. And going also into the playoffs on a winning streak like that too. Whoa. What? The offense on this team either completely crapped the bed or the depth scoring went way down. Wow. Okay. Maybe the league has just gone to a defensive stalemate. Oh my god. So Mauricio Wilm, for the first time in 6 years, doesn't hit 50 goals, doesn't hit 100 points. I don't know if I should be concerned or not. I don't know if I should be. That might drag down his contract asking price for next year at least, but oh my. Maybe we just had way better depth scoring this year, and then Wilm didn't have to like carry the load, so to speak. Like he didn't have to have as much on his back. Like he wasn't the camel for our team. He basically was just a contributor on our team. Like hopefully there's good depth scoring throughout our lineup, because that would be a really good thing to see. But yeah, Wilm dropping off by like 20 points is not what I really had on my bingo card this year. Let's see what we got in terms of the standings. So we were the 6th best team in the NHL, one of only 7 teams to hit 100 points this year. Goals for per game wise, we were one of the better offensive teams, so there must be good depth scoring, considering we scored over 300 goals. From a defensive standpoint, looks like we were a little bit above mid-table, so I'd say our defensive play was pretty solid, all things considered. Our power play didn't do as well this year as it did in the past, so I don't know if we need to start finding a coach that's better for our power play. Like, it does work really good for our 5-on-5, but our power play really struggled, and that may be why Wilm kind of dropped off production-wise. I'm not going to say it's Ian's fault. I'm going to say it's probably the fact that we don't have a good coach for chemistry on the power play. If we could find a coach that's good 5-on-5 and also on the power play in terms of chemistry, that might be what needs to turn this team around, even though we just had a good season. And our penalty kill was also very bad. We had one of the worst penalty kills in the league, yet we had such a good record. So, special teams are definitely a problem. Definitely a problem. I mean, they could be really good in the playoffs, but definitely if we want to address something, we might need to look for a coach that can work in terms of all situations. 5 short-handed goals, which is pretty nice. 22, 14, and 5 on home ice. 25, 15, and 1 on the road. And 3, 6, and 1 in our last 10 games going into the playoffs. Let's take a look at those player stats, see how good that depth scoring was. So, what do we got for depth scoring? So, Wilm with 90 points, plus 32 this year. Another good year for Wilm, but obviously kind of weird not seeing him hit the 100-point plateau. But, I mean, this guy's literally had almost 1,000 points already, and he's not even 30 years old. So, very impressed still with Wilm as always. We just might need to look at readjusting some things a little bit with the special teams to help him out a little bit. Ahinen had 88 points, so Wilm almost actually did not lead our team in points. Ahinen was great again. Yeah. Definitely dropping off production-wise, like he's back to where he was a few years ago, but he's still well over point per game. Almost a career plus 100 on a team that's only made the playoffs one time. So pretty impressive. Stajan, 82 points. Really good year for Aiden Stajan. That's what I mean, though, that we might have to sacrifice some depth, because when we sign Wilm to more money, that means guys like Stajan almost get more on the chopping block. His potential dropped to a low top 6, which is kind of weird, but like 82 points and a plus 30, really good year for Stajan. That is a career high. He's just been getting better and better every year, and hopefully has a good playoffs, not like last year. Piros the ball, 79 points and a plus 24. So FBZ or easy peasy, taking it to that next level. Yeah, he's definitely taking it to the next level. I really like Beelzebottle. Really good passer, not a goal scorer at all, but still, really solid player. Sharov had 50 points this year. See, Sharov only needs power play time to contribute. Even without power play time, he had 42 points playing third line. So, our third line was great this year. And yeah, the Sharov, his potential dropped to medium bottom 6. You hate to see it, but I mean, he's still one of the best like potential players I've seen. Like 455 points in 738 games. That's really respectable. That's like kind of like my favorite player is Cam Atkinson. That's almost like Cam Atkinson numbers, which is really respectable. So I like that a lot. Dan Mason, 24 points, pretty solid season for Dan Mason, I think. Yeah, a little bit better than last year. So there is Dan Mason. Left wing wise, Lehman had 81 points, only 34 goals. I still am not really sold on Lehman's goal scoring ability, but he does bring a decent amount of points because he's playing with good players. So, yeah, there's that. Still elite potential at least too. Didn't drop off because of that. Weber, 47 points, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Up to an 84. He is developing nicely. That's a career high for him. So there is Weber, signed to his 8-year extension. Vlasic, 34 points. Yeah, I feel like I might have overpaid on Vlasic a little bit, but he is getting kind of sheltered minutes. He doesn't get power play time as well this year. Interesting. So there is Vlasic. Still 34 points as a third liner is good. Veteran, 26 points. Pretty solid comeback year for him. Obviously, this is his first year in the NHL in 2 seasons, and he was okay. Had almost a career high, but not really. Better plus minus, which is good. So there's Petterman. Right wing wise, De La Rovera had 77 points. I like De La Rovera a lot, and up to a 90 overall. He's been really good too. Really good to have behind guys like Wilm for sure. And he's got that great extension as well. And then Louis Mathieu, not bad. 31 points this year. Once again, more of a pure passer, but he's up to an 80 overall. He's definitely being pretty serviceable for a 4th round pick. So there is Louis Mathieu. Defensively, what do we got? Sea-Doo, 29 points to lead the defensive core. I am not sold on Boyes' offensive production since we drafted him, to be honest. But Jay Sea-Doo had no power play time, and he led us. Interesting. So our defensive defensemen are doing better from an offensive standpoint than our two-way. I don't get that, but that's okay. Mayer had 18 points plus 21. Rizzy, a solid rookie year, actually. 16 points and a plus 16. 10 goals. And he's only a 79. So we are getting goal scoring from our back end quite a bit. And Dimitra, 12 points. Like every one of our defenders, except for Mayer and Dimitra, had double-digit goals. That's not something you see every day. Goalie-wise, I would say worse than last year. Sonnenberg, a 900 save percentage and a 3 goals against. I forget what he had last year. Last year I did 910. Yeah, not as good. More wins for sure, but yeah, that save percentage worse. Goals against worse. Hopefully he's better in the playoffs though. And then Nikitin, not great. Yeah, Nikitin's probably going to lose his NHL time soon. He is still signed for 2 more years, which is kind of unfortunate, but he likely gets replaced by Norden starting next year, my guess. So there's our NHL team. I also want to briefly take our look at our AHL team before we take a look at league leaders. Looks like Watton once again had a good year. I'm not going to take a look at development yet. We're going to leave that till the off season. But looks like pretty good numbers across the board. I don't know if the AHL team made the playoffs. We got to take a look at that as well. Looks like they had a good year, though. Norden had a 913. Great. Gove had a 907. Yeah, I definitely think the AHL team might have made the playoffs this year. Unless they missed by a point like they've been doing quite frequently. Let's take a look at the league leaders. So, in terms of forwards, oh my goodness. I really don't want to play the Toronto Maple Leafs again in the playoffs because Matthews had 132 points, which was almost 20 more points than his teammate Nylander. God damn. Draisaitl had 116, Connor had 115, so the offense wasn't down in the league this year, despite Willem dropping to 90 points. Huh. Interesting. On that front, goaltending or goal scoring wise, Matthews led with 62. Mario Matu, don't know who he is, 56 points. Kyle Connor up there. Koskinen. So looks like the Rangers are a good goal scoring team. Tuukka Kuda. Yeah, I'm really surprised that our goal scoring went down so much. Don't know if I like it or not. Defensively, McCarr led again, but Adam Fox is likely going to win it because he was +2 more. Korchinski also up there. Dobson, Brant Clark. Goaltending wise, most wins, Thatcher Demko at 42. Sonnenberg was second in wins. Tied for second in wins. That's kind of impressive. Shutout wise, it was Demko again. Save percentage by a starter, Niittymaki with a 918. Likely is going to be your Vezina favorite, even though he only played 55 games. But if you're looking at like 60 plus games, Tristan Jarry's up there. Goals against wise, the best starter, Niittymaki. Yeah, so Niittymaki likely wins the Vezina. In terms of goals for goalies, nobody. Assists, Niittymaki. Best rookie this year for points was Hoagland with 64. He was the first overall pick last year, I thought so. J.C. Hartnell, 48 points, -24. Oof. So there is all the rookie stats. And yeah, let's see if the AHL team made the playoffs as well. Because if our NHL team did, it would be nice to see our AHL team do it as well. Yes, they did. Both of us finished with the almost identical records. Wow, okay. It's kind of cool. Who led the team in points? Smirnoff of 72. Okay. Okay, now the question is, who are we playing in the first round of the playoffs? It will be the Montreal Canadiens. So once again, we have another battle with another Canadian team in a playoff spot. The interesting thing about this is I know a lot of people in the Maritimes are Montreal Canadiens fans or Toronto fans. So I don't know if people in Halifax would be really happy about them playing Montreal or what. But Montreal was a good team this year, 46, 30, and 6. So we almost had an exact same record as them. So this might be a tough matchup. Let's first compare ourselves regular season-wise to each other, and then we'll take a look at what their roster is made of. So yeah, we only finished 2 points above them. We scored 1 less goal than them. Oh boy. They were a little bit better defensively by 10 goals. They were better on the power play by a large margin. And we were better on the penalty kill despite being one of the worst in the league. They might have been the worst penalty killing team in the league. Okay. We were not so good going into the playoffs. They were pretty good going into the playoffs. Interesting. Let's take a look at that lineup. See what they got. If they have any huge threats on their team. Considering this is year 10, they probably still have some similar players. Or it's almost around year 10. They probably have some similar players to when we played last, or seen them before. Actually, maybe not. Maybe a little bit. Top line, Tolvanen and Catan. And then you also have Cole Caulfield. Very good top line. The fact that Eli Tolvanen is able to generate X Factors is kind of crazy. Second line, Slavkovsky, who has no X Factors and is 29. Only developed to an 87. Suzuki and Doc. Really good top line. Our top 2 lines, I should say. That top 6 is going to be very hard to contain. Third line is great too. Roger McQueen, who they drafted, I think, in year 1. Kenny Hines and Josh Waugh. That's a very nasty top 9. And then their fourth line is great too. Malcolm Spence, Mark Hastelik, good fourth line grinder kind of. Face-off guy. Jacob Melanson as well. Yeah, that is one of the best looking forward cores we probably had to run into yet. That's better than the Leafs last year, I think, in terms of depth. But does this top line simulate that well? Let's see. Tolvanen had 72 points. Berkeley Catan had 73. And Caulfield had 95. So not as potently offensively threat-wise as the top line in Toronto, but they probably have good depth by comparison in terms of scoring. And their defensive core is good too. Werenski was brought in. David Reinbacher has jumped to an 84 only, which is kind of an oof considering he was the 5th overall pick. They also have Victor Soderstrom, interestingly enough. Also Caden Gooley. And then Anton Olsen and Drew Hellison. From a defensive standpoint, they might be deeper than us, but they don't have the studs that we do. And then goaltending-wise, they don't have the best 1-2 punch either. Callie Klang, Mads Sogard. Yeah, they're a pretty solid looking team. B.O. Gruel, Cal Foot, Neil Kanaka. Yeah, it's a pretty solid team. And once again, we're going to have to go through a tough team in order to get ourselves to the next round. So I think that's pretty much it, if I'm not mistaken. I think. Actually, I want to quickly take a look at the draft class. Not that it matters. I still want to see what's available here in this draft. See if there's any kind of like things that we could go after in terms of drafting. Always got to think a little bit ahead of time. Looks like some forwards later in the first round, which is good. But there's also not a lot of good defenders at our stage again. Maybe there's some low leads, but I'll definitely have to take a look at that in a future episode. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of our Halifax Raiders Draft to Glory franchise mode. So next episode, we'll take it to round 1 against the Montreal Canadiens as we look to get ourselves to the second round for the first time in franchise history. And hopefully if we do, we don't have to face Toronto, because Toronto is still a very good team, even with Matthews getting much older. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.